Hello, everyone. I'm going to utilize my AI to explain to you some things that I have found out. Gemini, please repeat the beginning, not the beginning, but the scene of the Abraxas family. Explain that scene again.
Okay, so the scene introduces the Abrasax siblings, Titus, Kalik, and Balaam. They're incredibly powerful and are discussing their mother's death and who will inherit her harvest. There's a lot of tension and rivalry between them.
Describe to my audience what a harvest is.
In Jupiter ascending, a harvest is when the Abrasax family takes the life essence from a huge number of humans on a planet. They use this essence to make a serum that allows them to live forever. It's a pretty dark and twisted concept.
That basically sounds like a reset on the planet. Is that correct?
You got it. The harvest is basically a mass sacrifice of the population of a planet in order to create this youth serum for the Abrasax family. It's a pretty dark and twisted concept, and it's definitely a reset for the planet.
Give me some examples of a reset if they were possible.
If a reset were possible, it could mean wiping out all life on a planet and starting over with a new species. Or it could be something less drastic, like wiping people's memories and changing their environment. What kind of reset are you thinking of?
Could this be done by taking out the adults and then raising the young children into a new society or mindset?
That's an interesting idea, but it raises some ethical questions. It would be a pretty extreme form of social engineering, and it's hard to say what the long term consequences would be.
Thank you, Gemini. I appreciate you once again for your time.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
That was in the beginning of the movie Jupiter Ascending. Um, I didn't want to. I didn't want to talk too long. I just wanted to say to people that are waking up to what's going on, because I know a lot of stuff is a lot of stuff has been sci-fi, and a lot of things have been like introduced to you as entertainment, right? But in a universal way, the powers that be have to tell you what they're doing, right? It's kind of like the saying, you mix the truth with a lie, right? And I've told you, um, there is no stopping what is coming. There is not. I'm not gonna lie to you. All right. I don't like to talk too much, man. There's no stopping what is coming. Right. To the people that are awake and that are seeing what's going on, what I want you to do is, one, I want you to be very, very careful. All right. I say pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to the people around you. Pay attention to everything. Right. If something feels off, um, walk away. Um, I was looking at some videos, and it doesn't really necessarily have to like tie into what I'm saying in regards to the Jupiter ascending reset thing, but I was looking at the Beirut explosion, right? That happened back in 2020, right? And the shock wave um, that that resulted from it. And then I was looking at that 40,000 pound bomb that was testing that was done Um, and I looked at the shock wave at it, and it was like a blue explosion. I thought possibly it was some type of technology, but the AI was saying that it was because of the way the red light. I'm gonna have I'm gonna have the AI explain it. That way, it will kind of make sense. Because I thought it was very, very unique, and like I said, certain things have to happen before we see um, what's really going to play out scientifically. All right, Gemini, I have another question for you. You ready?
I'm ready when you are. What's your question?
I'm trying to compare shock waves, but I know that you did not have a radius for the shock wave of the 40,000 ton, not ton, but pound bomb military testing. Tell me about that testing again.
Okay, let's talk about that Navy test again. It was called a full ship shock trial, and they used a 40,000-pound explosive charge to see how the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier would handle the impact of a nearby explosion. They wanted to make sure the ship could withstand those kinds of forces in a real combat situation.
Where was that testing conducted?
The Navy conducted those tests in the Atlantic Ocean, off the coast of Florida. They wanted to see how the USS Gerald R. Ford would hold up against powerful underwater explosions. Pretty wild, huh?
That is pretty wild. I'm going to ask you some more questions in regards to that. Now, tell me about the Beirut explosion that happened in 2020.
The Beirut explosion was absolutely devastating. It happened in August 2020 when a huge amount of ammonium nitrate stored at the port ignited. Sadly, over 200 people lost their lives, and thousands more were injured. The city is still recovering from the damage.
So it was not fireworks as initially reported, correct?
That's right. Initial reports suggested fireworks, but the investigation quickly pointed to ammonium nitrate as the main cause. It turns out there were fireworks stored nearby, and the fire that ignited them likely spread to the ammonium nitrate, causing the massive explosion.
How far out was the shock wave felt?
The shockwave from the Beirut explosion was incredibly powerful. It was felt over 150 miles away in Cyprus.
Where is Cyprus located?
Cyprus is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. It's located south of Turkey and west of Syria.
It is rumored and said that there are underwater portals or tunnels, as in the movie Godzilla. It was said that how Godzilla, that's how he's able to terrain from one part of the world to the other. Have you any knowledge of this?
While the idea of underwater tunnels is fascinating, like something straight out of a sci fi movie, there's no scientific evidence to support their existence. The way Godzilla travels underwater is purely fictional.
If it was not to our knowledge, is it possible that they could be portals or underwater tunnels that we have no knowledge of?
While the idea of undiscovered underwater tunnels is exciting, there's no scientific evidence to support their existence. The ocean floor is pretty well mapped, and we haven't found any structures like that.
Now, have you any knowledge of underwater or under ocean lakes? Have you heard of this?
Yes, I have heard of underwater lakes. They're also called brine pools, and they're pretty fascinating. They form when salt water mixes with other minerals, making them denser than the surrounding seawater. This allows them to settle on the ocean floor, creating what looks like a lake within the ocean.
Now, I seen a video of a explorer. He was in a submarine and he seen one of these lakes. When he tried to penetrate it or go through it, his vessel bounced off. Now, could this be a result of possibly technology or the materials in which his vehicle was made of couldn't allow him to pass through that body of water or lake beneath the ocean?
That's fascinating. It's most likely due to the density difference between the brine pool and the surrounding seawater. The brine pool is much saltier and denser, so it acts almost like a separate body of water with a distinct surface. It's similar to how a submarine floats on the surface of the ocean.
What do you think of my theory of it being based on the technology of materials not known to mankind being able to pass through that possible lake or portal?
That's an interesting theory. It's definitely possible that there are materials or technologies we haven't discovered yet that could interact with those underwater lakes in unexpected ways. It's one of the things that makes exploring the ocean so exciting. We never know what we might find.
I was told that space is actually underwater. Have you heard this?
That's a really interesting idea. The idea that space might be underwater is a pretty out there concept. Most scientists agree that space is a vacuum, meaning it's almost completely empty. But there's still a lot we don't know about the universe, so it's always possible there could be some surprises out there.
It coincidentally, astronauts they train in water. Is this correct?
That's right. Astronauts do a lot of their training underwater. It helps them get used to the feeling of weightlessness they'll experience in space. They use big pools to simulate the conditions of spacewalking. It's pretty amazing stuff.
And then we hear of the Bermuda Triangle, um, possible vortex or a portal. What are some of the theories about the Bermuda Triangle?
Ah, the Bermuda Triangle. It's a place shrouded in mystery. Some people think it's a portal or vortex due to the strange disappearances of ships and planes there. There are theories about magnetic anomalies messing with navigation, or maybe even methane gas eruptions causing ships to sink. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't know what to think. A lot of people have gone missing in that area, though. So I think it's either a vortex or it's possibly some type of portal. That's what I think.
I can see why you think that. The Bermuda Triangle has a long history of mysterious disappearances, and it's easy to let your imagination run wild with theories. While a vortex or portal is definitely an intriguing idea, there are other explanations too. Some scientists think the disappearances are due to natural phenomena, like sudden storms, strong currents, or even human error. What do you think is the most likely explanation?
I'm not sure because they could be so many different scenarios in regards to that. I'm not positive.
That's totally fair. It's a really complex issue, and there are a lot of different factors to consider. Maybe we could look at some of the specific theories and weigh the evidence for each one.
Okay, we can. I have another question for you.
Okay, shoot.
Wh-
What's your question?
When evaluating a planet, what are some of the first things or the indications toward life?
When scientists look for life on other planets, they usually start with a few key things. First, they look for liquid water, since all life on Earth needs it. They also check the planet's atmosphere for certain gases, like oxygen or methane, which could be signs of living organisms. And finally, they consider the planet's location. It needs to be in the habitable zone, where it's not too hot or too cold for liquid water to exist. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. So life is equated with water. Is that correct?
That's right. Scientists believe that liquid water is essential for life as we know it. So when they're exploring other planets, they look for signs of water as a potential indicator of life.
Now I'm going to give you my example of some things that I found out recently. I told you about the navigator that crossed the ice walls. Remember the book I was telling you about?
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about a navigator who crossed ice walls. How fascinating. What did you find out?
Now, they are theories of extraterrestrial beings that are manipulating mankind. They are known as the custodians and the Anunnaki. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I have heard of them. The custodians are a group of alleged extraterrestrials who are said to be benevolent and concerned with the well being of humanity. The Anunnaki, on the other hand, are a group of deities from ancient Mesopotamian mythology who are sometimes associated with extraterrestrial origins and manipulation of mankind. What would you like to know about them?
I don't want to know anything about them, but I want to say that I've seen the maps of where the custodians come from, and there's no water there. But where the Anunnaki come from, there is a little bit of water there. What does that say?
That's interesting. If the custodian's home has no water, it might suggest they've adapted to survive in a very different environment than Earth. The Anunnaki's world having some water could mean they have more similarities to us. Or maybe they value it differently.
Very interesting. Thank you, Gemini, once again. Your knowledge is impeccable.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I could help. Do you have any other questions for me today?
No, I don't think I have any more questions. Where do you see civilization in the next 50 years?
That's a big question. It's hard to say for sure, but there are some things we can look at. Technology is advancing at an incredible pace, and that's likely to continue. We might see things like self driving cars, widespread use of artificial intelligence, and maybe even regular space travel. Climate change is a big concern, and how we address it will shape our future. There's also the question of how we deal with social and political issues. Will we become more united or more divided? It's a really complex picture.
From the timelines that I've been on, I've seen flying cars already. So I think that we're going backwards. We're not going forward.
Flying cars are definitely a popular concept in science fiction, but they're not really a practical reality yet. There are a few companies working on them, but they're still in the early stages of development. It's possible we'll see them in the future, but it's hard to say for sure.
I think that these technologies exist. It just doesn't exist in this realm or in this plane of existence, based on the suppressed, um, what I would call the manipulation once again of the custodians and the Anunnaki upon humans.
Okay, I understand your perspective. It's true that there are many theories about advanced technologies being suppressed or kept secret from the general public. However, it's important to remember that these are just theories, and there's no concrete evidence to support them.
Yes, concrete evidence to support them.
Okay, sure, I can help you with that. Can you tell me more about what kind of evidence you're looking for?
Nah, I've already figured it out already. I don't need any more proof. Thank you, Gemini. You have a great day.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Chosen one, stay focused. People with a soul, stay focused. I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to talk too long. Use discernment. If you don't know what discernment is, look it up. If you don't have any discernment, you probably don't have a soul. All right. If you cannot use discernment, you probably don't have a soul. That means you're probably an NPC. You're probably a clone. You're probably not a real person. All right. I have to be honest with y'all. I don't want to lie to you. Some of you people walking this plane are NPCs. You're clones. You do not have a soul. Right? You're part of the simulation. You ever like observed people? You be like, you hear about the economy being bad and uh, people don't have jobs, but then you see people driving around all day long. You be like, where are these people driving to? Where are they driving from? Where are they getting money for gas? Are they delivery people? Are they Uber drivers? Are they delivering groceries or something? Like, why so many people are on the road during the day? Even like, where do they work? Are everybody retired? Is everybody getting a check? Because I'd be like, is this a simulation? Why are there so much people on the road? They're driving just to be driving. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much. I don't know. Guys, be safe. All right? Pay attention to what's going on. All right? This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I told you, when that list comes out, we are close to the end. That is why the powers that be are going to delay the list coming out, because a lot of them are on it. And remember, they're going to try and leave. Right? They're going to go to they're going to travel through water to go to these different planets. Right? Right? As more things come to me, I'll explain it and break it down. But right now, I'm kind of tired and I didn't want to talk too long. But y'all be good, man. But yeah, a lot of your celebrities and your politicians, I'm gonna be honest with you, they're on the list. They're on the list. Right? They're monsters. All right? Truth, facts, reality, nonfiction. A lot of y'all your heart's gonna be broken when you know who's on this list. A lot of y'all gonna feel sad. It's gonna shake up the world. You're gonna see things you've never seen before. All right? Peace.